hand seller Rachel Reeves appears to have run out of targets for blame, pointing to tourists for a 0.1% fall in quarterly GDP and brandishing a $22 billion black hole as justification for the country's dire position might have sufficed for a few news cycles. But 9 months in, the public is growing impatient. They want accountability. They want explanations. Instead, they are left questioning why the figures don't align. Take, for example, the CV claim of a decade at the Bank of England, which, when accounting for a master's year at the LSE, amounts closer to 5 years. It might seem a minor detail. What's a few years between friends? Until you remember this is the person responsible for the nation's finances. If credibility is the currency of politics, then arithmetic should be the first audit. Out in the real world, families cannot rely on long-term abstractions. A household opening a mortgage renewal letter cannot pay it with a promise of future productivity. Yesterday's announcements offered long-term plans to build infrastructure, but ordinary people are grappling with immediate concerns. They cannot plan around mortgage rates or rent, yet they were looking to the Chancellor for solutions that might provide hope now. Instead, everything feels distant, uncertain, and intangible. A renter facing a looming increase has no room to negotiate. You told Stylist magazine that you had worked at the Bank of England for a decade. In reality, it was 6 years, and one of those was spent at the London School of Economics completing a master's course, leaving 5 years. Not a decade, and sorry to interrupt, but you're thinking 5 years to find space for the plan. I suppose the issue is that winter payments vanish instantly. Everything else feels long-term. Yesterday, people were looking to you, wondering what might give them hope. You are outlining long-term infrastructure projects. While ordinary households cannot even plan around what their mortgage will be at renewal, how much their rent might rise, or what prices will be in the shops. Did you enhance your CV to appear better qualified to be Chancellor, with a pledge to streamline planning laws sometime in the next Parliament? People keep hearing about the plan, the pipeline, shovel-ready projects, and future growth, while their weekly shop, rent, and energy bills feel like a rigged game. The question they continue to ask is starkly simple. When will we actually feel better off? Reeves responds with promises of faster, broader growth, insisting that economic expansion will put more money into working people's pockets. She points to falling inflation, 2 interest rate cuts, and wages rising faster than prices, as if macro indicators alone could resolve personal financial strain. But politics is personal, and right now the personal feels precarious. When households must choose between topping up the meter or filling the fridge, macroeconomic data can feel remote. And then there's Heathrow. Reeves backs a third runway and asserts confidently that it will be completed within a decade. For business, it is a siren call. Jobs, trade routes, increased capacity, and a bolder post-Brexit footprint. For critics, it draws a red line across the climate ledger. More flights, more noise, higher emissions, and delays to the very targets described as non-negotiable. Supporters hear opportunity. Opponents hear obsolescence masquerading as progress. Reeves speaks like a project manager. Permits, planning, and regulatory hurdles finally cleared. Environmentalists, meanwhile, ask how net zero commitments can be reconciled with tarmac reality. Beneath the surface lies the deeper question: can Britain still deliver major projects quickly without compromising its promises? Her media appearances have done little to soften the edges. A debate stumble against Kate Garraway and Richard Madeley became a meme factory. Flat, scripted, robotic. It is not that expectations for authenticity are impossibly high, but voters can detect coaching, the smile that arrives a beat too late, the pre-prepared pivot that does not suit the moment. When the persona does not match the stakes, doubts multiply. Is this a leader with instinctive grasp of the national mood, or a carefully constructed figure designed to avoid unforced errors? The CV controversy compounds the issue. Exaggeration in politics is not new, but it is corrosive, especially in a cost-of-living era, where trust is the only currency people still value. In the private sector, embellishing a resume can end a career. In public life, it often dissolves into a cycle of misspeaking, clarifying, and moving on. That double standard lingers like a sour aftertaste. If supermarket staff, nurses, and junior analysts are expected to abide by strict rules, why should rulemakers receive soft landings? Meanwhile, the housing crisis has shifted from headline to hard limit on people's lives. 1.5 million homes this parliament remains the pledge, and if delivered, it would genuinely make a difference. But people do not live on pledges. They live in queues, in bidding wars, in damp flats with rising rents, in guest rooms, childhood bedrooms, and overcrowded hotels. Frustration grows as public money flows to places many neither expect nor accept, housing newcomers in hotels while pensioners endure winter wrapped in coats at the kitchen table. It is not cruelty that fuels the anger. It is the sense that the social contract has been rewritten without consultation. If you have paid into the system for decades, shouldn't the system recognize you first? Reeves insists that stability has returned. Inflation has fallen by half and then some, the Bank of England has cut rates, and wages are rising twice as fast as prices. She says the government is clearing the legal sludge that clogs up major projects, that spades will finally hit soil, and that the era of schemes trapped in courtrooms is ending. Heathrow, she claims, could move forward by this summer if operators deliver. The rhetoric comes with a sense of inevitability. But in Britain, inevitability must be earned, not proclaimed. Too often, we have seen artists' impressions and ribbon cuttings without ribbons, mistaking appearance for momentum. Her critics do not stop with her. They widen the lens. Figures such as David Lammy, Angela Rayner, and Yvette Cooper are capable, certainly, but do they feel like the adults in the room we once expected in cabinet? Or has the role been reduced to the timeline of a tweet and the patience of a panel show? Abroad, allies observe the mood swings, the resets, the rolling announcements, and question whether Britain can still act with the steadiness that once made it synonymous with reliability. Perhaps this is nostalgia. Perhaps it is the fog of modern politics. Or perhaps something has genuinely thinned in the air. Less foresight, less unity, less steel. Through it all, the Heathrow question hangs like a contrail. Progress or provocation? Entrepreneurs and exporters hear gates opening to new markets. Environmentalists hear a locked-in emissions path that will be more costly to reverse later. The country wants growth that feels like a pay rise, not a press release. It wants a plan measured in keys handed over and bills falling. It wants government to be as urgent about today's struggles as it is ambitious about tomorrow's skyline. And then we return to character because policy always filters through the person. If the public believes you polished your biography for shine, they will keep asking what else has been polished. If your interviews sound like a manual, they will wonder whether the human element is present once the script ends. If you say we are moving in the right direction, they will check their bank balances and decide whether that statement applies to them. Reeves insists she is clearing obstacles to growth, determined to put more pounds into more pockets, and that the era of drift is over. Perhaps she is right. Perhaps we are a few quarters away from feeling the lift. But politics is not a quarterly report. It is a daily verdict. Every supermarket till, every rent reminder, every renewal quote returns the same demand. Do not sell us the future without addressing the present. Build the runway or don't, but build trust first. Clear the planning backlog, but also clear the fog around your own story. If growth is the destination, credibility is the ticket. The country is weary of being told it is already in first class while still waiting at the gate. There is a reason audiences bristle at the like and subscribe pattern now trailing every political message. It feels transactional. Support, however, is not a transaction. It is a loan of belief. Earn it, and people will give you time. Waste it, and all the plans in the world will not buy a second chance. If you believe this government can turn the corner, show us the corner turning. Bills falling, homes built, projects breaking ground. Fewer slogans, more scaffolding. If you think it cannot, say so and outline what should happen instead. The country does not need flawless performances. It needs honest ones. Perhaps that is the real runway Britain is waiting to see. Less spin, more lift.